Hello, hello. Good evening. Good evening. Welcome, Jason. Okay. How to... Aha, there we go. All right. Good evening. See if we can get this situated a little better. All right. Okay, well, good evening, everyone. So this is welcome to the very first broadcast. I know we have some others that are planning to join in, and let's see, I'm going to adjust this over here. And Roberto, welcome. Everybody, got some friends coming on tonight. Thank you for your support here. We're going to talk about fear, and just I guess I'll cover some housekeeping items before we get started. If you haven't used Periscope before, you can share this broadcast by swiping. If you have an iPhone, I believe if you swipe to the left, I'm going to double check this here, and if you swipe to the left, you can share it with whoever's following you or with an individual. And if you have a Droid, I believe it's swiping down, something like that. And you can do the same thing and share it with others. And so one of the other things you can do with this is you can give hearts by tapping the screen. I don't know if it'll do it on mine. It'll probably just flip it. But you can give hearts, and the hearts represent, there's a couple. The hearts could just represent, hey, I agree, or hey, just, a show of support or whatever it is. And when you get a lot of hearts, what happens is it creates, it surfaces more when people are on Periscope. It just raises you up higher in the rating, so people might chime in. They'll see that you're broadcasting and can join in. So it helps to just increase visibility, I guess. I need to give a, okay, good evening, Logan. Some of these folks, I'm not sure. Roberto, yeah. Welcome, Roberto. And I have to give kudos to, or credit to my brother, Jeff. Some of you know Jeff, and hi, Roberto. Some of you know Jeff, and he uses Periscope quite a bit. And so for me, that was the last thing I would want to do, is broadcast myself live over anywhere. Generally, for those of you that know me, I tend to be a private person. On Facebook, I'm more of a lurker, if you will. I'll give kudos to people and see what's going on, but usually I don't divulge much. But with these, I'm committed to sharing. So feel free to ask questions. You can type in questions or comments, as some of you have started to do. If you have questions regarding whatever I'm talking about, feel free, and we can have a discussion. What else? So one of the things that for me, I thought I would talk about this topic is because coming over to this other side of I am. And when I published my book, that was a step of being more in the public eye, and I had to have learned to promote my book. And that's not what this forum is for, but just being out there. This forum is purely for giving some free advice and answering questions, and I'll share a little bit about my journey as well. Not only in this broadcast, but in other ones on whatever topic, as well as clients that I've worked with or have worked with in the past, and some common issues that come up in terms of managing their career, and what are the things that hold people back from achieving what they really want. And sometimes we're our own worst enemy, and we make up this stuff. Good evening, hey Nagy. If you could kind of put in your name when you sign in, kind of just say hi, so I can associate a name with some of your handles. I'm not always clear who you are, so it'd be great. Welcome, Isaac. Yep. Good evening. And it would be kind of fun if you kind of share where are you guys from, what state. Nilu, welcome. Okay, smart. Now I know. Nilu is smart, very smart. So welcome, Nilu. And I think you said Nancy is with you tonight. Is she visiting? So North County, San Diego. Great, great. So if Nancy's with you, hello, Nancy. And so I thought I would start with something that I quite honestly haven't shared much, but I'm going to start sharing it because I think it's important. And it was something, good evening, Maper, good evening. I think it's something that gets in the way. Costa Rica. Oh, wow. So Nancy, you're going to Costa Rica. That's exciting. That's exciting. I was there. I took, my son Jonas and I went this past summer. We went to Costa Rica all over, and it was a lot of fun. We went whitewater rafting, and he hadn't been before. And so there was a little bit of trepidation there as well, but we both had a blast. It was awesome. And as well as zip lining. And for many people, that's pretty scary. For me, yeah, it's a little bit, but I love adventure. So I hope you get a chance to do those. It's a lot of fun, and you can get some good speed on the zip lines. So it's a lot of fun. So if you have questions about Costa Rica, feel free to ask. So when I was younger, I remember one of the, there are different moments, defining moments for me, kind of growing up or in college, fears that I faced and overcame. And, a lot of it starts with having a strong vision of what you want. For me, it's been, and for many of my clients, it's having that strong, video man, that must be Dave. That you, Dave? Welcome. And so growing up, I started working in my father's drugstore, and when I was 8 years old, and I was folding papers. Thanks, Dave. I was folding the Sunday papers. My brother was teaching me how to put the Sunday's papers together. My father was a pharmacist and had his own drugstore. So I'm putting the papers together. I guess how much I made. Anyone want to guess how much I made? 8 years old? Just type it in. I'm kind of curious. No? Okay, so I made 5 cents. 5 cents an hour. Not too far off of that, I made, Jason, I made 50 cents an hour. That's what I meant. 30 cents. Ah, you're better. Yeah, you're better. So is that Anne Sepulveda? Sepulveda. Hope I'm not mispronouncing your name there. Yeah, so 50 cents an hour, and then eventually I would end up blowing my money on comic books. so I know I got your name pretty bad, didn't I? So I made money, blew it on comic books. There was a place called, I grew up in Cleveland, and his drugstore was on the west side of Cleveland. Do not vote on Prop 8. Okay, I'm not sure what Prop 8 is referring to, but um, and so eventually, I would make a little bit more money. I think I worked my way up to $3 an hour or $2 an hour. I'd make like $14 in a day or $16 in a day. So it must have been $2 an hour was what I topped out at when I was 14. I worked there for 6 years, and it was great. I learned how to work with people. I moved into a stock boy, and I had a lot of mentors at the time. And I think that's important for when you're going into anything new that's scary. This is something I learned: is success is a team sport, and I need to make more money. Feel like, but too scared to move up. That's interesting. That's almost like a fear of success, right? What do I do if I get the job? What do I do? Will I be able to handle it, right? And yeah, absolutely. That's something that you have to want something bad enough and know why you want it. Many times we don't know the why we want it. And I had a client, for example, who wanted to be a manager. And she was dead set on being a manager. And she had been frustrated. She came to me frustrated because she wasn't getting the promotion she wanted. And so I sat down with her and asked her, after I probed a bit, why do you want to be a manager? And, what it, initially came down to, what it eventually came down to is because in her family, she wasn't successful unless she achieved like the manager title. And with the culture that she came from, she was Asian, and in her family, as she explained to me, that was a measure of success. And so when we probed a little bit more and kind of explored what does a manager actually do, well, they need to manage people, number one, and she was more into data and computer types of things. So you need to manage people and conflicts that occur. She liked helping people, but there are a lot of things, managing a budget and people, and a lot of responsibilities that she would not have liked at all. And yet that was the only path she had been pursuing. And had she gotten that job, she would have been miserable, really. And so you have to think about that if you're trying to make more money. I would consider the why, and maybe there's some other avenues for making more money. Not every company offers that, but some offer. If you're a technical person, you can develop more mastery in your existing role to make more money. Sometimes it involves changing companies. Sometimes it just involves asking for what you want. So many people, clients of mine, have become frustrated, and oh, okay, got you. So, hey, Nagy, what's your first name, Nagy? So, yeah, I understand. So, just getting married and a homeowner, so there's a lot of pressure there. Pay the mortgage. I get that. And sometimes, some careers don't pay much. I was in the nonprofit field for a long time, and you're working at a discount. But for me, that's my passion, and so I didn't mind. And at the time, it was fine. When my son was born, though, I will say I did start to pursue a more corporate job, if you will. And so I've been with the company I've been with for 11 years now. So Abdil, okay, you go by Isaac. All right, thank you, Isaac. So, I get that, and for me, the trade-off was a little bit around, okay, I can make more money. I had good coworkers. I kind of vetted it out, but I knew I would miss a little bit about the meaningfulness of the organization, the cause. of the organization. And so, that was a trade-off, but I knew that I could make that up somehow by the company was big on philanthropy and community involvement, so I've been involved with different things related to that. And then outside work, I've volunteered for different social service agencies and other volunteer events. And so, there's different ways you can go about it and explore, and just know what the trade-offs are. But if you're sacrificing, what you don't want to do is sell your soul for it, and maybe you're consciously doing that for a period of time. In terms of, I know for the next 2 years, I got a baby on the way, a new, mortgage, or just got married, whatever it is. You're willing to just to do that, but long term, what is it you really want to do, or what are some other options that might be available? Living a little bit within your means, or whatever it may be. So I don't know your particular situation, but we all have different circumstances, so you have to be the judge of that. For me, one of the changes I made in my career, it was a detour. It was definitely a big risk. So I was in a pretty large nonprofit organization. Some of you may have heard of the San Diego Zoo. I was there for a while, for about 5 years. And I went to this conference, and it was a community development conference. And my role up to this point had been facilitating change within the companies, developing teams into high-performing teams, facilitating strategic plans, which is long-term goal setting and planning for the organization, determining priorities, developing managers and leaders, and coaching them. And I was ready to do something different, and I went to this conference, of the community development conference. I'm like, wow, this is awesome. It's just like what I'm doing, but applied to within the community, facilitating change within a low-income community. And so, so I actually ended up getting a job in that field as a community development director with a local nonprofit. And I knew going in that 50% of the job would be great. It would be working with the residents and helping them in low-income communities, apartment communities, and helping them establish self-sufficiency and leadership, and eventually transition into homes of their own and be able to save up for homes of their own. And so that's the part of those are the things I loved. The other half of the job dealt with building affordable housing, which that appealed to me in concept. But what it really involved was a lot of financing. And so, Isaac, you mentioned you recently bought a home. You have a mortgage. Well, in developing affordable housing, you often need to have about 6 mortgages, if you will, 6 different streams of income. Some are government funds, or some are grants from foundations, different sources, and they all have their own stipulations. And I went to a conference while I was there to learn more about affordable housing, and I was so depressed afterwards. So you want to switch to banking. Switch to banking. Okay. Yeah, there's some similarities there, probably. Both are very regulated industries, for one. So for me, what I ended up doing is I took a chance. I discussed it. I actually turned the job down first. Ironically, I was offered the job, and I turned it down because I was like, I don't know about this. I don't know about this financing part of it. I don't know if I can do it. And ultimately I did. I was offered the job again. I referred a friend, and she courteously interviewed my friend, who is a real estate type person, but came back to me, and it sounded better the second time she explained the job. And so we knew going in that we were taking a chance. And long story short, it didn't work out in the end. I think I was there like less than a year. And it turns out the environment actually was a very unhealthy environment, which didn't help things because I was trying to learn something totally new. And but the thing is sometimes, yeah, you take a chance or a leap of faith and you fall flat, right? Fall flat on your face. And for me, that was a difficult time. And my son was on the way as well. And so here I was now, my son on the way, and my job's not working out. And so that was a difficult period. And I moved on to a couple other nonprofit organizations as well during that time. And ultimately, after he was born, I decided to go to kind of a more corporate environment, and it's been a good ride. I've been there 11 years and been able to focus on what I love to do in terms of helping employees and coaching, and developed a career coaching center for the company a few years ago. And so that was my dream. And again, it's just I didn't succeed the first time at that either. I succeeded on my third attempt. So the first time I tried to get this career coaching center up, we got a team of peers together that were passionate about it. We didn't get a budget approved, so we couldn't do it. And Jeff Slaps. What's your name, Jeff? Is it Jeff? Jeff? Oh, Jeff. Got it. Welcome. So, where was I? So yeah, the first time we didn't have a budget. And so, what's my favorite Drake song? To be honest, I couldn't tell you. That's sad to say. I'm not that familiar with Drake. I probably recognize the songs if I heard them, but unfortunately I don't know. So we didn't get a budget, so I was pretty depressed there. We put in a lot of work. So then about a year later, went at it again. I said, this time we're going to do it where we don't need much of a budget, just kind of low budget. We were about a month away from launching, and my director says, Mike, we can't launch it. We can't roll it out because we have this other stuff going on in the company right now, and it wouldn't look good. It wouldn't look good for us to launch it. She was a big supporter of it, but she was thinking politically it just wouldn't look good. And again, I was like, oh crap. You solve one problem and now there's another, right? That you don't anticipate. And so I said, forget it. I'm done. I'm done with this dream. And so several years went by, and eventually I moved up to a sister company up north that were the same overall organization. And, different boss, different environment, different situation, circumstances. And I got the approval to do a pilot program, a career development 5-month program. We had coaching, we had assessments, personality assessments, values, work styles, everything. We had vice presidents coming in to speak as well, and I was up there teaching. I had peers teaching, so it went really well. And then I got the green light